Go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode or a series for our knowledge transfer series, so number two. And we have Hayley Wallace. So, woohoo, yay.
Thanks.
So, yeah, before we get into talking about what Hayley does and everything like that, if you have any questions, put them in the chat and we'll have an opportunity probably at the end, maybe in the middle, depending on what kind of questions you have. Because we'd love for you guys to ask questions and to get what you need out of this as much as Hayley's sharing with all of you. So please do put your questions in the chat, and myself and Rachel will keep an eye on that. So yeah, so excited.
So just
So Hayley, yeah, you go, Rachel.
I was just gonna show the website, Hayley's website, just to start off, and then we'll let Hayley do her amazing thing. So I'm just going to share screen for a minute, guys. So this is Hayley's website. So hayleywallace.com. So Hayley does, I mean, obviously we're going to hear from her what she does and the amazing things that she offers. She does workshops. She does a lot of different versions of land healing. She's going to talk about some of the healing of the trees that have been removed and that sort of thing as well. So obviously there's a way to contact Hayley through the contact page at the bottom of the website, so you know how to contact her. All right, beautiful. Okay, so stop share. Lovely. All right. Thank you for being
Thanks.
here today, Hayley.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Right, so I'll let you go, Billy, and I'll start trying to keep an eye on the chat.
Yeah, cool. So first off, who is Hayley? And you can share whatever you like about yourself. So yeah, how you started land healing, your passions, anything that you'd like to share for everyone in this group. So
Okay. Thanks, Billy. So who's Hayley? Yeah. So I guess for me, my journey down this to get me to this point started quite young because when I was a kid, I'm going to say I could see all of the ghosts, like the energies, the stuff that a lot of people can't see. Although I think that's changing these days. But when you're about 6 years old and, there's three people in a room, but you're seeing it as completely full, things are pretty busy, you know what I mean? And I guess at some point I kind of realized that other people aren't seeing what I'm seeing. And so I suppose in a way I learned to just ignore it and block out and not pay any attention. Because to me, what do I do with that? How do you know? Um, so yeah, so I guess I kind of just put that aside for a while, as I suppose a lot of kids do at that age when they're, a bit different in that regard. Um, and then I started at 16 to get really interested in reading about everything to do with energy. If there was a book that I could find in the library at the time that had something to do with energy, I would read it. And I became like a bookaholic. So, past lives, near-death experiences, mediums, like anything and everything. It was just my obsession. And I started to realize that, there are other people out there who were like me that could see these things and interact. But these people kind of knew what to do about it as well, how to help these energies and that kind of thing. So it just really piqued my interest. And but it was funny because at 16, I was reading these books about these amazing people who are mediums and all this sort of stuff and going, oh, well, that's not me. I'm not one of those people. I'm going to have to get myself a real job. Because I wanted to work in this space, but I just didn't know how to do that. I didn't really have any role models or people in my life at the time who were doing that kind of thing. So I studied to be a naturopath, an acupuncturist, and I went right in with hypnotherapy and NLP and timeline therapy and life coaching and herbal medicine. And even after I finished at college, I went back and actually taught at college the up and coming naturopathic students for a few years. Which I really enjoyed. But to be honest, all the way through that time, I'm still reading books about energy and, psychics and ghost stories and all of these kind of things. Not negative, scary horror type stuff, but just the curious, interesting things. And so anyway, I was in the naturopathic field for sort of 20 odd years, and I eventually closed down my clinics and went traveling around Australia holding health seminars, teaching people how to not get sick in the first place. Um, But during my time in clinic, I had a number of people who I was working with. And yes, of course, you expect people to be getting well bit by bit, but some people just got really well really quickly. And so you ask them, like, hey, what else are you doing? Is it just what we're doing here, or is there more? And, you know, you always want to know and learn. And a few people sort of said to me, oh, well, I had an earth healing done at my property. You know, do you think that might make a difference? And at the time I was like, I don't know, what's an earth healing? You know, that sounds different. And once I'd heard it a few times, I thought, I need to look into this. I need to know what this is. If this is really making that much difference to people's health, I want to know what it is. So I made it my job to go, right, I'm going to find this out. And so the next thing that happened was 2 days later, a girlfriend of mine who's a kinesiologist rang me and she said, I've just had this earth healing done at my property. You've got to do your place too. Here's this lady's number. And I thought, okay, great. Ask and you shall receive. So I had this lady's number. Her name was Maggie Landman, and coincidentally, Landman. And so I thought, all right, I'll call this lady. And she turned up to my property, you know, a bit down the track, and she walked, we had 3 acres at the time, and she walked the land and said, okay, there's ley lines here and there's underground water there, and, you know, all of these different things. And I thought, okay, well, this is interesting. I can't see anything that you're talking about, but, you know, it kind of makes sense to some degree. And she put crystals in the ground and said, you know, this is going to recalibrate the energies. And I just kind of went along with it and went, okay, great. You know what you're talking about. So, but over the next couple of months, I just kind of sat with, okay, well, what happened? What changed? And I just noticed that it wasn't anything super dramatic, but things started to flow better. Things that we were kind of having challenges with or couldn't make decisions around, or, you know, whatever wasn't going well, just bit by bit seemed to balance itself out. And I thought, okay, maybe this is to do with the earth healing. And so I had my antenna out then, and I was listening and for all sorts of stories about earth healing. And so gradually I decided I'm going to do an earth healing workshop with Maggie. And so I enrolled in this level 1 earth healing workshop and walked land with her for 2 days. And she's, you know, got us to stand here and feel this energy. This is underground running water, and stand here and feel that. This is stagnant water, and this is a negative ley line. This is a positive ley line. And, you know, and there was a group of us who all kind of stood there just going, yeah, okay, I can feel this. This makes me feel really heavy. This makes me feel anxious. That makes me feel that, you know. And I kind of walked away going, wow, okay, I'm not sure I know how to find them still, but it's going to take some practice, but I definitely felt different energies. So I know that this is a thing. And anyway, I was still in practice, still in clinic at the time. Life went on, but we moved a couple of times. And each time I rang Maggie and said, okay, we're in a new place. I need an earth healing done. And each time it was, yes, some things improved. So, you know, there was no doubt in my mind, this is making a big difference. And I started to really think about this for my clients and go, if my clients are coming and they're getting great advice around what they should be eating, and they're avoiding chemicals, and they're minimizing their EMFs, and they're, you know, taking some good natural supplements and all of the general things that you do to be well, but they're going home and sleeping over cross negative ley lines or an underground running water stream or something like this, that's draining their energy, stressing their energy field for 8 hours, or, you know, every single night. How do you actually be really well in that situation? So it really got me thinking that, gee, you know, there's more to it than just what I learned at naturopathic college. They're all great basics, but yeah, energetically, we need to start paying attention to this. So that's kind of what I went back and repeated this course, and then down the track I kind of did it again, and I was just like, I just need to know this really, really, you know, well. And then at some point I just sort of decided that my time in clinic was up. I wanted to do something different. And at first I traveled around holding health seminars and getting out there. But now that I knew how to heal the land, everywhere we parked our caravan around Australia, that was the first thing I did, was let's get all of this balance so that we're not sleeping over unhealed earth and stressing our bodies, and let's, you know, help the earth while we're here. So that was a really great experience, because I was healing the earth nearly every second day, because we just, you know, we did a whole lap of Australia. And then to do the same thing in New Zealand when we traveled around there as well. So yeah, it was a fantastic learning experience and practice time. And when I came back from that trip, I contacted Maggie and I said, okay, this is what I need to be doing. This is now my calling. It's my next phase of life. So, teach me the next step. I want to become a practitioner. So I went and did the level 2 earth healing with her. And yeah, that's what I've been doing since. And I love it. I still love it. And I just really feel quite blessed that I'm finally doing what I wanted to do at 16, was just be working in the energy space all the time. So that's my long version of who am I.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. And I can definitely relate to when, yeah, you're doing all the things for yourself to get healthy and clear your own energy and everything, but like where you live, it's still affecting you. And I'm in the process of moving at the moment. I'm at my friend's house. And as soon as I drove out of my driveway, it's just like a massive, like a lifting of like negative energy. Um, so yeah, I can definitely relate to that. That's my own experience. So yeah,
Yeah.
and you
Sounds like
don't
you have gone
realize,
through the space.
yes, yes. Yeah. So yeah, for anyone, I suppose, that has a similar experience, like just, um, becoming aware of that as well. Like, it doesn't matter how much you're doing, like even the people around you can affect you as well. So
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, cool. So this is one of the questions that you would like to talk about. Like, why would you clear the land and not just like a house or a property?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. I get asked this question all the time because even though all of my work's done remotely now because I'm just so busy, when I first started and, for a number of years, I just went to people's properties and walked the land with them and got them to stand and feel energies. And I'm going to say here straight away that like probably 85% of the people who walked with me that day to feel these energies could feel them, which really got me to understand people are way more in tune than they think they are, because they didn't think they'd feel this. They think I'm turning up as some magic person with this amazing gift, and they could never feel it. But they walk with me and I go, well, just stand here and tell me what you feel. Okay, come and stand over here, tell me what you feel. And people get it right most of the time. So it really is a big, wake up to themselves that, hey, I am more connected to the earth and feeling these energies and impacted by them than they ever realized. But one of the first things they used to tell me when I got to the property, so I'd say, okay, so what's going on? And is it just you just want the place to feel better, or is there something particular happening? And in that question, people would often say to me, well, we've already had a few house clearings done, or we've had someone come and do a space clearing, or something like that. And I'd say, okay, great. And how did that go? And they'd say, oh yeah, it was really good for a while. And I'd say, okay. So then what happened? They're like, well, I don't know, things have, come back, or similar situations have occurred, or whatever it is. And I found that this was at least 40, 50, maybe 60% of the properties that I went to, I was hearing the same story all the time. So I started asking people, I'd say, okay, so you had this house clearing done. Did that person do anything with the land? Did they deal with ley lines? Did they deal with water? All of this kind of thing. And they would always say, no, they didn't. And I'd say, okay, so this is where the difference is. Because what I'm going to do today is we're going to work on the foundational energy of your property and raise the vibration. Because when you can heal that and get that all into flow again, energetically, the whole place comes up. And when you take that stress off people, so I always describe it like this. I go, well, here's your energy here, right? Whatever level this is. And here's where your property sits. This is why it's uncomfortable, because your energy is vibrating lower than you are. And so today I'm going to, heal all of this stuff. So we raise the energy like this. And now I know that looks out of balance, but by taking all this stress off you, your energy will come up to where it's supposed to be naturally sitting without all of that stress affecting it. Now you're at a match energetic frequency with the property. Now it's comfortable for you. Now, I know that begs the question, well, hang on, how long before that's out of balance again? And sure, other things will start to show up. So if this is your energy and you're constantly working on yourself, you're raising your energy, doing all of this great stuff, your energy will raise. And at some point, this balance will be out again. So you can top it up. and take more of that stress, because it's ever evolving. We're doing this 3D to 5D shift. So the Earth's evolving, we're evolving, everything's kind of in a transition stage at the moment. So these ley lines are layered upon layered upon layered. It's not just one thing and that's it. It's, I'm even going to call it, there's the 3D layers and there's the 5D layers, you know what I mean? So, so if I came to your property, Billy, like wherever you live, and said, okay, let's do an earth healing here. So I'm going to flip between earth healing and land healing. It's the same thing. My teacher calls it earth healing, and I've named my business land healing. So they're one and the same thing. Yep. So if I came to your property and we did this earth healing and you went, oh, wow, this feels really great. And then 2 months later, you moved out and, Lucy moves in and she rings me and says, hey, can we do a earth healing? I'm going to start again from scratch, because what shows up as needing to be healed for Lucy's energy compared to your energy is different. Because like I say, these ley lines and all it, everything, it's layered, it's almost holographic. And so when I'm there at your property working for you, it's in the highest good of you and anyone who lives there with you. That's the intention behind the work. So my question then is to be shown anything and everything that needs healing for this to be a comfortable space, a vibrational match for you. So that's what will show up. So you might have 12 ley lines on your property. Now, on your property, we're talking minor lines, you know what I mean? But they all filter back up to the big major lines. So those 12 lines, they're not all going to show up, because only 3 of them are having an impact on your energy. So they're the ones I'll work with. The others, you can do, you can work with them all you like. It's not going to make any difference because they're not affecting you. And so we work in partnership with the earth in this regard. It's this synergistic effect. You can go out and go, I'm just going to go and heal all of these things. And great, that's a lovely intention. And to a degree, yes, you'll help. But if you're wanting targeted support for your vibration to be comfortable on that particular property, then, this is where you get a little bit more detailed with it. So, yeah, so it's, to me, going and saying, okay, let's clear the ghosty stuff out of the house. It's such a temporary solution. And if that solves your problem, great, you don't need me. But often I find people say, yeah, it was great, but only for a while. And that's why, because whatever's going on the earth, that actually still holds that low vibrational energy that's just going to invite those things back. I always, excuse me, I always say to people, if you went to a little town and you found, the haunted house, the one that all the kids run up and knock on the door and run away, and, or no one even lives there anymore. If you actually did a full land healing on that property and raised the vibration of that place, it wouldn't be the haunted house anymore, because the frequencies are just not comfortable there in that space. So, you don't even have to go in and do like this ghost busting stuff. You focus on the land, you do that well enough, and the energies they'll shift, they'll clear. And I don't mean like clear when I'm working, I don't mean clear and just go somewhere else like next door. I mean like clear properly, like, essentially the short version is the energies going back to the light, back to where they're meant to be,
Yeah. Like you're saying before, that people intuitively pick up on these energies and all that. And I suppose when people go to these houses or any property and they sense that something's off, and I suppose that's when, you just got to take a step back and ask why, like why is that, why am I feeling that way? So, and that's what you, with your work, that's helping people to understand that for themselves and not just like doing the healing, but so what does it look like when you're doing a healing or like a land healing?
Yeah. I'm actually just going to jump back and finish one thing there, Billy, because I think it's relevant before I answer that question. I find most people call me when they've been on their property about 2 to 2.5 years, because people buy a place or they move into a rental or whatever, and they bring all their good energy and, they're all excited. I've got this new place, and you put all your things around and it's great. And then about 6 months into it, people start to go, I don't know, there's something feels something. They can't describe what it is, but it's just not quite right. And so then they start going, maybe I'm just making it up. Maybe, I'll just ignore it and blah, blah, blah. And so time goes on until eventually they start going, no, something's really going on here, or I'm getting glimpses of something, or, you know, whatever it might be, or we can't sleep properly. And they start looking for someone like me or like Rachel, or, you know, anyone who can help. And so it's usually about that 2-year mark, sometimes 2.5. Most people, when I say, how long have you been living there? Oh, about 2 years now. Yeah, okay. It's finally the energies have impacted you enough. And I'm going to say for sure that what I see is the energies affect people so much, it changes who you are. It changes your personality. When I get to someone's place and I say, what's going on? And they go, oh, and they list this, and this is happening. Before I even looked at their land, it's like, oh, I know what you're living over. Because I hear this all the time from people who are living over this. And I hear those things all the time from people who are living over that. It starts to change your energy to be reflective of what you're living over. So yeah, it's fascinating. You can see it in the people after a while. So okay, sorry, back to your question. So what does it look like? I'm going to talk about on-site healing because I did that, you know, for a long time. But like I say, now, because, you know, I'm quite busy and got all sorts of things going on, I do everything on maps. And so I'll talk about that afterwards. So yeah, I used to turn up at someone's property, and at first, when I first learned earth healing, as I mentioned, we walked the land and felt the energies. So I'd get to the property, and let's say we've got a house block in front of me, and I would literally be standing there going, okay, so my intention is to, you know, raise this frequency to the highest good of these people. And I would literally say in my head, okay, show me where the negative ley lines are. And at first it was just like, oh, I feel like I kind of need to go this way. So I'd start walking that way, and I'd be like, oh yeah, here, I've definitely got a negative ley line, because after years of, you know, practicing this is what these feel like to me. And so then I'd have to find, well, where does it run? Okay, it comes into the property here, it goes out of the property there. And so what I would do, how I was taught and the way I still work is, and then I would put a particular crystal in the ground, and the same at the other end. So, you know, 2 opportunities to work with the property. So crystal on either side. And certain crystals, you know, because they come from the earth in the first place, they've got their own frequencies and they're really high vibrational. They actually have, you know, like certain crystals have a resonance with certain things. So, you know, I often say to people, if you've got a dam or something on your property, put some red jasper in there, because it's got a beautiful affinity to balance water. You know, so that's something you can do straight away at home, even in your swimming pool. It's a body of stagnant water. Okay, it's being filtered, but it's essentially still just sitting there. So put a beautiful red jasper crystal in your skimmer box just to let those energies clear. So many times I say to people, oh, do you use your pool very much? And they say, oh, well, we used to when we first moved here, the first couple of years, all the time, not so much anymore. Why? Because you come home from work or whatever, you dive in the pool, you basically go, oh, okay, that feels better, the same as you do in a shower, wash away the day. You get out feeling so much better, but your swimming pool has got all of these energies just literally swimming still in it, you know, for years. And so just something as simple as having that red jasper in the skimmer box there permanently can help to just recalibrate that and bring that back into balance all the time. So, you know, little things like that. And so I remember watching just recently, because people just sort of go, really? You're just going to put this crystal, like this pretty rock in the ground, and magically we've healed a ley line. And I saw this beautiful little, like 5-minute clip of these guys. They had this special measuring equipment. I don't know what it was called. And they were measuring all sorts of different things. So they measured the human energy frequency, which they said was, you know, about 7 hertz. And they, you know, the Schumann resonance we know is about 7.83, but it fluctuates. And then they measured this clear quartz point crystal. It was about this big. And with whatever gadget they had, they ended up saying they got 775,000 hertz reading on that crystal. And it was just like, that blew my mind. Like, I know these little things are powerful, but that's like 100,000 times higher vibration than our energy field as humans. So it's just like, no wonder this works. This is amazing, you know, like, Yeah, so I go around and I find where these energies are and put crystals in place and check, okay, does that feel like that's balanced? Yep, okay, great. Is there anything else it needs? And so sometimes you're sending energies. I mean, I know with like Ley Love Down, they're singing into the ley lines, you know, sending that high vibrational energy. There's all sorts of things you can do. I what I have come to learn, and I know even some of like the First Nations people, their practices with clapsticks and things, they would do this with sound over the ley lines, but they would do it repetitively because it didn't always hold. And so, you know, you do it more and more and more often, and obviously you get a better and better result. And even elephants have been documented to walk the negative ley lines, doing their trumpeting and rumbling and everything. And the scientists have measured the frequencies before and after the elephants have passed through. And the change in the energy field is just next level. But eventually it starts to sink again. Now that might take months or, you know, but the elephants come back and they keep this cycle going. So it's part of nature, which is really beautiful. Cats actually love to sit over negative ley lines and underground running water because it's low vibrational, and they sit and they purr and they vibrate and they actually heal, you know, temporarily heal the lines. So it's really funny when I work on a property, people often say to me, for about 2 weeks afterwards, my cat was way out of sorts. And it's like, yeah, sorry about that. I just kind of took its job away, you know. But in reality, you're actually prolonging the life of the cat by doing that because yes, it's has this ability to heal, but it's almost like this slow, long-term sacrifice of itself to do it. I mean, how beautiful that it is and that it can, but you know, even cats living over healed land will actually fare better, just like we do. So, you know, I go around, put all the crystals in the place, and then I energetically check, you know, is there anything else on the land, any energies of people who've been here before? In the house, is there any energies that don't belong here anymore that need help to move on, etc.? That used to take me quite some time to do the land and then check the earth energies of past people, etc., and then check the house energies. But now I've found the better my work gets, the more I'm finding that changing the frequency of the earth and doing that work is actually clearing the house as we go, clearing the land as we go. So at the end, I'm really just doing a final look over. You know, is there anything I've missed? Is there anything that's kind of still stuck that hasn't already shifted that I need to deal with separately? But yeah, look, I've really come to realize that the land work itself is kind of the answer to that. And it holds it long term. So, but these days it's a lot more simple because when I stand on the land after lots and lots of practice, I can just look at it and go, okay, there's the ley line, there's the, you know, and there's the underground. I just, you know, it's kind of like, I call it seeing it, but it's kind of like knowing it's there and feeling it and all of these senses all at once and just going, okay, yep, there's one there, there's one here. Okay, so I'll walk around that way and I'll heal them as I go. So that's kind of, you know, what I talk about, seeing it, whereas Rachel seeing it is a bit of a different sort of a vision. So, you know, there's lots of different ways you can do this.
It's just beautiful to listen to you. I just feel like, where have you been? Because you so speak my language. Everything you're saying just makes perfect sense. And I knew that cats, I mean, I teach in my course that cats have this way of taking entities out of the home. They've captured the soul system. So what you're saying makes perfect sense. I've got a couple of questions from the chat, if that's all right, if I just ask those while they come up, otherwise I might forget. One person, CS, was asking that they had a grounding mattress that helped them to sleep, and they're asking, does grounding help with this process?
Yep, great. So this is a tricky one because grounding, meaning getting connected with the earth, absolutely. That's how we should live 24/7. You know, that's the base reality. So yeah, look, if you could, you know, drag your sleeping bag out and sleep out there, you'd be grounded, and that would be wonderful. In real-time practicalities, yeah, people are looking at grounding mats, sheets, all of these sorts of things. And it really kind of depends because I've had so many people contact me over the years saying, I've got this new grounding sheet and I'm actually feeling worse. And I ended up getting this grounding sheet and I eventually got rid of it myself. Now, at the time that I had that in there, I didn't really know how to find the negative ley lines and things like that. So I look back at that situation and I go, first of all, the one we had was plugged into the power point of the house. And I know it's supposed to connect with the grounding wire. That's how they're designed to work. But What I have found and talked to electricians about and said, are all houses grounded properly? And they often say to me, well, they should be, but they're not all grounded properly. So some people might be putting that in there and actually getting more of a live, electricity kind of a feeling, which is unfortunate because, that makes the product seem bad when that's not really what it's about. I know a lot of people have said to me, I've taken it and I've connected it to the ground outside, like with a metal rod. And a lot of people say, well, that feels better. If you're lucky enough to put that on a positive ley line, then great. If it happens to go on a negative ley line, not so great. And I'd be really mindful in a lightning storm to kind of take that out as well. So there's a bit of catch-22 there. So the concept of these things are good, but I don't think anything quite beats just bare feet on the ground, yeah. And I know we're trying to do everything that we can to be practical because I don't want to sleep out on the ground, with the bugs either. But, maximizing our time during the day as much as we can to actually do real grounding. And I'm just going to say, like I've already mentioned, people are more sensitive than they realize. So if you have a grounding mat and you feel good using it, then keep using it. If you don't, then don't. That's kind of my final analysis.
Advice. And on the insect factor, Charlene asked, what about crickets? Do they have I would assume they would have a positive effect on a ley line because of the beautiful sound that they produce.
And the vibration that they make. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And birds singing and all of those sort of things. Yeah, absolutely they do. Yeah.
Beautiful. One more question from Rebecca. Are larger properties more impacted by negative energies because they are larger?
They can be in the sense of the fact that if there's more ley lines showing up and you get these crossing points of negative ley lines, this is where you can get the flow of in and out of the energies a lot more than just on a straight ley line. So I guess if you've got a bigger property, you've got more chance of having these lines crossing and therefore, inviting that kind of stuff in. On the flip side, if you've got crossing positive ley lines, it also opens up an energy portal as well, which when animals pass, they can use those positive ley line crossing portals to move their energy on to where they're meant to be next. Plants can actually use them too. So when we talk about portals, this can be a really beautiful thing as well. And the interdimensional, all sorts of things, but just purely with focusing on the land here today. But when I look at because like I say, these days I'm just mapping all of the time. So if I've got a property that's say 200,000 acres, then I will map all of the negative ley lines, all the positive ley lines, running water, old earthquake lines, missing trees, all of that kind of thing. And then when I've done that, when I'm finished doing that, I will sit with that energy of the property and decide, do I now need to zoom in on the homestead, the smaller, like the acre around the house, and then map the minor ley lines and other things there as well, just for some additional support for that property and those people. Sometimes I feel like I need to do it, and other times it's like, no, we've really covered all of the big stuff here that's going to make such a difference to these people. So that kind of gives you an idea of the holographic nature, or for want of a better word, like in our body, we've got like our arteries and like the main arteries, which go all the way down to our tiny capillaries in our fingertips. And the ley lines are a bit like this too. You talk about the dragon lines and all this sort of thing. And then they branch and they branch and they branch right down to just your little house block has got ley lines all over it because they're part of that whole as well. So when you're healing properties, one little house block at a time or one farm at a time, etc., it's all feeding back up to that greater whole and making a huge difference. So look, I've been to properties where it's been 5 acres, and I've been to properties where it's a small house block, and sometimes the small house block takes longer because there's more there. Yeah. But like I said, in general, the bigger the property, the more chance you've got some crossing points there. So
absolutely. Oh, I'm just loving this. Do you have any questions, Billy?
I have to keep muting myself as dogs running around and excitement. You do like a pre-property check, like for people wanting to buy a property. or a land. Do you have any advice, like people that wanted to do it themselves, or just things to look out for or to be aware of before they buy it?
Yeah. So I'll talk about what I do, and then I'll talk about what people can do themselves. So if people ring me and they say, look, I'm looking at buying this property and I just want to know what's there before we commit. So I do what I've just said, is the mapping, drawing everything out. But there's no healing, there's no putting crystals in place. It's just here's what's here, that if you were to move to that property, these are the things that would show up that need healing for you to be comfortable there. Okay. And so, I give the people the map, and I can give them my recommendation. Do I think this is a good property for them or not? I do a lot of work for property developers as well. And I know sometimes people go, oh, you shouldn't work with them. They're the bad guys knocking down all the trees. But the reality is it's going to happen. They're going to do it anyway. If we can do it in a healed way and heal some of the damage that's been done already, then, things are obviously, it's better all round. So for me, yeah, it is very much talking to people about what's there. But like I said, about 85% of people who walk with me can feel these energies already, without even doing training or anything like that. So if you're looking at a house block, I'm going to say, before you walk in the front gate, get a snapshot of you. What does it feel like to be, Billy? And go, okay, here's my energy. Now I'm going to walk slowly around this property, and I'm going to just notice what comes up for me, what feels good, what doesn't, etc. And I ask, like, I'm a huge fan of saying, people ask for the answer, let me feel the energies that I need to feel. So I get an overall sense of whether this property is high vibrational or not. I had a property developer. I did a talk for a group of property developers, and this guy came up to me afterwards. I think he was Indian background and, descendancy. And he said to me, when I go and buy properties, I stand in the middle of the property, and if it feels good, I buy it. And if it doesn't feel good, I don't. And I said to him, great, you're already kind of doing, the work. Okay, sure, he's not healing ley lines and things like that, but he's connecting and he's getting an answer. And I said, the properties that feel good, do they go well for you? Is it working? And he said, oh, always. I said, great, awesome, keep doing that. But he said, I've got a problem. I've got a property in New Zealand that I've never been to New Zealand, but I bought this property and I didn't get to stand on it. And I said, you've got problems, right? And he's like, mm-hmm. So, he was taking care of this for himself in his own way by literally just standing in one spot on the property and going, what does it feel like to me? And everyone can do that. It's just that most people don't believe they can, or they don't trust that they can. It's the same when people come to my workshops and they walk with me and they go, I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to do this. And it's like, okay, well, let's just play today and let's just see what happens. And everyone can, they always can. And we take the time and spend the time to make sure everyone can. But you'll feel it differently to the way I do. Everyone's going to feel it differently. You've got to find it in your way. We all get our intuition in a different way,
Absolutely.
Yeah, but we all have it. We're all born with it. We just got to trust it and remember it and wake it up.
Well, we're full of water, aren't we? So we're like we are a calibration tool in itself, and we have our intuition, we have our pineal gland. As I was saying before off camera, before we started having the chat publicly, I have a beautiful friend, Alex, who helps me with my course, and she and I go out ley line hunting. She feels them, and then she says, hey, have a look, and then I'll see them, and then I'll photograph them. And it's just it's wonderful because you have different skills and different abilities, and you work together, which is just beautiful. I've got a couple more questions from the chat. Sinead was wanting you to expand on the missing trees aspect, because that is fascinating. I'd love to know more about that as well.
Yeah, sure. I'm just going to turn this fan off. It's cooling down now and it's blowing on me. Won't be a second. All righty. As you can probably see behind me, I live in a bus, so I don't actually live anywhere particular, and I move around all the time. So yeah, there's forever land needing to be healed before I go to sleep at night. So the significant trees, these are, the movie Avatar. There's a little bit of truth in that, with that big mother tree. And you saw in that movie, for those who've seen it, the root system and how far it traveled. And okay, we're not at the stage of linking our hair up with it, but it kind of gave us a visual of how we connect energetically. And so when I'm working with trees that are missing, which I call significant or mother trees, I'm looking for the ones that were having the big energetic impact. They have this fungal microcosm and attached with their root system, and they connect with all of the other trees in the surrounding area. And they actually give nutrients, they give energy. There are a lot of books have been published over the last few years about this topic. Um, excuse me. So science has come a long way in explaining what we've been talking about for a long time. And recently there was some thermographic imaging done in England where some scientists found this huge big tree, and they said, let's look at how far the fungal microcosm goes and reaches into the forest. And the answer was 162 feet. It was the biggest one they've ever documented so far. And of course, that tree is quite minor compared to the really big trees that used to be, here once upon a time. But still massively significant. You take out that tree, it's going to affect the forest 162 feet around. So when you do remove those kind of trees because you're building or something like this, it's like a wound on the earth. And the energy attached to it is like chaos. It's just when you stand over an area where a significant tree has been removed, it's all over the place. And it's like a vortex that's pulling down. People stand there and just say to me, I feel like I'm being sucked into the earth. And I've literally had grown men where I've gone, come and just stand here and see what you feel. And, they stand there and these big butch guys just burst into tears. And, they just, they looking like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean, and it's like, look, it's fine. It happens. It happens. Men seem to have this real connection with trees, just the way women seem to have this affinity with water. And there's this sadness that's attached to it as well, because you're feeling the energy of what's no longer there, this emptiness, this void. So, take out a palm tree in your backyard, it's really not going to have a huge impact energetic. Yes, to that tree it is, but not to everything else. But those significant trees that are connected in a vast area, boy, does it leave an energetic imprint. So I often tend to, the crystals I use, I'm intuiting which ones, but I often find blue lace agate has a real affinity with balancing trees. And it's such a beautiful, feminine, delicate crystal. Enormously expensive, but I'm going to say here straight away, you do not need big crystals to do this work. My crystals that I like to plant are about thumbnail size. Yeah. I've tried planting large crystals. I've tried planting little crystal chips off bracelets. It doesn't matter. The energy, it's like it's holographic, the whole is in the little parts. So even if you had a huge crystal and it all broke into pieces, the whole is still in the parts. It still has that high vibrational energy. So don't think you need to spend a fortune on buying these huge crystals. Just even something little fingernail size, it'll work. Put it in the ground, connect your intention with what you're doing, and it'll make a difference. You can't do anything wrong. So
which makes so much sense when you're talking about, the crystal quartz that you were talking about earlier had 770,000 hertz, that this is a really powerful frequency.
Yeah, and it was tiny.
Wilna asked, can electromagnetic frequencies like EMFs, like, the man-made type version, or what we utilize for communications, can that have a bad influence on ley lines?
Yes, it can. It can have a bad influence on anything and everything. So, it's a form of geopathic stress, like geo meaning earth and pathos, it's Greek for disease or suffering. So when I work with geopathic stress, I work with it in three ways. First of all, the missing trees. Secondly, with old earthquake or earth shift energies, because, Australia is quite a stable continent now, but obviously it has moved and rocked and rolled previously. And still does in Victoria and South Australia quite a lot. We get 40 earthquakes every day, but at a very, very low level. So the Earth's still moving a lot, and the whole continent is moving north like a meter a year. So there's movement going on all the time. And then, of course, we dig and we cut and fill and all of this sort of thing. So we shift Earth energy around too. So that's a form of geopathic stress as well. So they're the natural forms, but then there's the man-made form. And I'm talking about all of them because when I mentioned the word chaos before, it's the same for all of them. And that chaos interrupts your brain chemistry, the neurotransmitters, the electrical connections, and in your heart as well. So, and EMF is just pumped in all the time, never ever stopping. So there's no reprieve. We can heal the missing trees, we can heal the earthquake lines, and it's done. But EMF just keeps on coming. So I find with using crystals, like I'm a big fan of putting crystals in your power box: shungite, green tree agate, green moss agate, selenite. You know, those they're the four main ones that tend to come up. I'll say them again: shungite, green tree agate, green moss agate, or selenite. Often I just say to people, look, put a stack of that in your power box, especially if you've got smart meters. If you can see a phone tower or power lines or something, put some of those crystals along the boundary of your property as a little bit of a energetic shield. By no means is it stopping that, but it's helping. It's taking the edge off. You know, every little bit makes a difference. So we can't 100%, like, I don't think there's anything we've ever found apart from 100% shielding, like with Faraday. You know, completely blocking it out. That's really the only way that it's going to completely stop. Because don't forget, we're actually getting, you know, they've got Starlink and all of those sort of things. Like, we're swimming in it the whole time now. So I do sort of say to people, yes, to a degree, doing an earth healing can help because we add those crystals as well, but you can also do a lot of that around your own property. I've even had people say to me, if I put shungite crystals all the way around my property, and I'm like, great, go for it. If your intention is to put them in there, you know, because with crystal energy and our intentional energy connected, it's so much stronger. So if that's your intention to put that in the ground, of course, that's going to be beneficial. Go for it. And like I said, you don't need big crystals, so it doesn't have to be an expensive process either. So EMF, it's a big challenge that we're going to constantly have to come up with ways. There's products on the market you can plug into your home and things to try and bring down the overall EMF. Some of those can be really good. There's pendants you can wear, you know, shungite bracelets, all of these kind of things. I just say do as much as you can as far as EMF. But all of the basic sensible things, don't put your phone in your bra, you know, like don't sleep with it next to your head at night. Don't use it while it's plugged in, like all of these basic common sense things. Don't eat food out of a microwave, you know. All of those kind of more obvious things that I'm sure most people watching this would already know, because it's about the total load. You know, you've got to look at your total load on a daily basis, and the less you can be impacted, the better you're going to move through, you know, this. So I hope that answered that question. Did I?
Brilliant question and
Okay,
brilliant answer. Thank you so much. And I've just learned so much too, because we're having a smart meter rollout, you know, bless you,
Right.
you're at the bus, so you don't have to deal with this, but they're doing it everywhere in Australia now, and they're saying you don't have any options, which you do. You do have options. Nobody has a right to come onto your property to do that sort of thing. But to know that you could put, especially things like moss agate, I know how powerful that is, like the anti-cancer stone. It's such a powerful stone.
Yep.
So to know that you can do that, that is so helpful. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
That means a
that's
lot.
right. And actually, sorry, I realized now the question too was about does it impact ley lines? Yes, because you know, two of those negative energies, those low vibrational energies, connecting and meeting, yes, it will feed that, I suppose. So again, it becomes part of that overall load. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
And they do tend to put, I know that ley lines often are the first tracks that we have, and then they'll build a road on it because it's the path of least resistance. But you'll often see power lines along them as well, which drives me out the wall, because that again has a frequency shift, and it can impact negatively.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm hogging all the space, Billy. Did you want to ask some questions, or are you happy to keep going?
And,
No,
and
that's all
it's
right.
Rachel.
There's some.
Sorry,
That's all
Billy.
right.
Rachel, I'm going to say too, the same thing with putting the, you know, the 5G things on the water towers and things. Absolute insanity.
Yeah.
You know, like water holds a memory, and you know, Masaru Emoto and all of these amazing scientists have long since proven what that does. Even you project the word hate to water, it changes its frequency. Imagine what 5G is doing to it, you know? So even at home, if you've got a water filter or something, like we've got a Zazen sitting on the bench, you know, in the bus, and underneath it is all of these crystals that, you know, for some for EMF, some like rose quartz, there's all sorts of crystals under there. And even on the little tap where it comes out, I've got a clear quartz running along it. So the water's moving past the crystal energy before it drops into the glass. You can do that with your shower, like even in the shower in the bath, we've got a crystal running along it's just taped along the shower, Rose, before that comes out. There's so much you can do. And all of these little things add up to making a difference to your energy field. So, go for it. Stick the crystals on all of your water, pipes, taps everywhere. Just, you can't do too much of that. So, sorry, back to you, Billy.
No, that's all right. Yeah, there were some really great questions coming in the chat as well. So, yeah, hopefully we can have time for people to put their hand up and ask questions. I was going to ask, is there any properties or land that you can't heal or don't want to heal? Is it's just there's just too much negative energy, and also, do you have any protocols like maybe protect yourself when you're doing any healings?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes. So I know that Trevor, when you did the interview with Trevor, he basically sort of said, look, if you don't feel like you've got the ability to heal it, then kind of he actually said turn your back and do the work or just leave it. 100% protecting your energy is a key topic for every person moving through this world, because we live in a 3D planet. There's light and there's dark, and that's just a fact. And yeah, sure, we're moving towards 5D, but that's still not purely just light. It's just less of the dark than what it is in 3D. So you always have to be protecting yourself. And there's various ways you can go about this, but it's about finding what works for you. You know what I mean? And so over the years, I'm going to say I've used multiple different ways that I, energetically protect my energy field. And at the moment, I feel like I'm pretty confident. There's no place that I'm not willing to walk into, not willing to work on, anything like that. If the earth wants some healing, I'm going to do it. But that's also because I've got the experience in the background to know I can, and therefore I will. And I also trust my protection, and I trust that I'm working, I work with one source of energy. That's it, pure light, nothing else. I don't do guides, angels, anything else. It's just one. To me, it's one pure source of energy. That's it. So light always wins over dark. Do you know what I mean? But you have to trust it. You have to believe it. You have to know that to be true, to hold that frequency space. So yeah, these days, yeah, sure, I'm willing to do, anything. But I am going to say I'm not cocky about this in that I think I'm totally invincible, that nothing can ever affect me. I'm human too. So if I'm working with spaces and I kind of go, oh, okay, I feel that this energy has kind of impacted me in some way, or I go home at the end of the day and I go, I just don't feel fully clear, like something's breached my energy field. They're the little signs to me that goes, okay, it's time to up level what I'm doing. What I'm doing worked for a time, but I've changed, and so therefore it needs to change too. So we're never at the point where we're done. You can't ever just go, that's it, I'm great now and I don't have to work on myself. It's just not, that's just not that. You have to continually up level if you're going to be working, with these sort of energies or in a clinic with other people or whatever, because you cannot afford to put your energy on them or theirs, coming to you. So yeah, I don't want to sort of say to people, this is how you should do it, because it's a very personal thing. When I teach my courses, I sort of say to people, this is what I do. And if you want to borrow my method until you find your own, then, go right ahead. And a lot of people do. And they say, yeah, that seems to work. Great. But just be aware that at some point you're going to need to step that up, So, but I've never found, anywhere that I have said, no, I'm not doing it. No, I feel like, given the experience and, I don't know, task that I guess I've given myself or been assigned or whatever the word is, if it needs it, I'm going to do it. Yeah.
That's great, because it's showing that we don't have to be afraid of like these, like if we know there's things have happened on the land that we can be that positive impact, not to be afraid, but just to be aware. That's all. Yeah,
That's right.
that's awesome.
And I want to say to people, don't protect yourself because you're terrified of what will happen if you don't. Protect yourself because that's the most beautiful way for you to move through this world. If you're protected all day, like it's the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, because it's just makes sense. Why wouldn't you? Why would you not walk through the day in a perfect high vibration as much as you can? And every time I sit down to do a map or anything like that, again, like totally clear myself, protect myself. Now the intention of the job, now do the work. So yeah, look, it's just how we should be living all the time, but not out of fear.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's good.
So important.
Yeah.
And I do the same thing every day
Good.
because I do readings and that sort of thing. And you just, it's a smart thing to do. It's the clever thing to do. It doesn't mean you're living in fear. You're just making sure that's something that's part of you. It's like brushing your teeth. It's
That's right.
an intelligent thing to do.
To me, it's like cleaning your kitchen bench. You do that not because you're terrified of germs, but because it's just the smart way to live. It's clean, it's clear, and obviously that's going to be better. So, it's the same. Keep your energy field clear, keep it protected. Done.
100%.
Yeah.
Hayley, we're at that hour mark, so I was just going to ask again, how do people find you? I know I showed your website at the beginning of the session. Do they just reach out to you that way, hayleywallace.com?
Yeah, that's the easiest, because then people can have a read through. I've got articles on there, so they can read through that, learn a bit more about how I work and things. So yeah, through there people can email me. My phone number's on there. Sometimes people want to ring and say, look, I just want to talk to you about my property first. And but look, I get a lot of people actually just go, here's my address, here's I want to go ahead with this. I don't need to know anything about the property to start, so I just map it all out. And then I go, here's what I found. And I talk to them afterwards on the phone about it and go, there's a ley line here and there's this, and they actually tell me then what's going on. They go, oh, no wonder, no one likes sleeping in that bedroom, or we never sit in this space outside because no one likes the feel of it. Or, you say, oh, there's a beautiful positive ley line here. And they go, that's why we all sit there all the time. It's like, yeah, great. See what I mean? People feel it already, they just don't realize that's why they're drawn to those areas. But again, if you've got positive ley lines on your property, utilize them. Sit there and soak it up. Do your meditation, share your energy with the earth through that space. Like, there's so many beautiful ways to utilize a positive ley line. So yeah, that was how to contact me. I have got a Facebook page as well, which is just Land Healings with an S on the end. And so yeah, I sometimes I post different little stories or things like that on there as well, just for people's interest. So
did you want to show any of your maps before we start asking?
Yeah,
sure. Marie's had her hand up the whole session, so Marie, we're coming to you. You're first on, but we're just going to show some maps first, and then you're definitely going to get your question answered, darling.
Just to give people a little bit of a visual of how I map out a property so that it makes sense. So if I do your property, so I'm just going to hold this there. So you can see, so I draw my negative ley lines in red, so you can see there's 2 on the property. I draw my water in blue. Now, this property here, this whole section at the back is actually stagnant water. That's why it's drawn that way. Can you see that okay? Yeah. And but there's also a running water stream. Oh, sorry, this is the stagnant water here. There's a running water stream here. Yeah.
Yep.
There is also a positive ley line. There's green one on this property as well. Yeah.
Excellent.
And these little black crosses are my markings where we're going to put crystals for the EMF coming onto the property from that direction.
Fantastic.
Yeah, cool.
And so sometimes I go, look, I'm picking up EMF here, not sure why. And people usually go, that's the direction of the phone tower. Okay, well, that's why, or there's big power lines down there. Okay, well, I didn't need to know why. I just need to know we need to fix this, And like I say, people explain to me why those things are there. But as you can see, I put my little cross here, which is, and I've written number 12. So when you get your crystals, because I post them to you, you'll open up the little seed packet that says number 12 on it, and the crystal will be the one that needs to go here.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so it's foolproof, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
people don't have to go out and, become crystal experts. And on the other end, because I always kind of work on both sides. So we've worked with this negative ley line here and here. So you'll put a crystal in each spot, to sort of balance that out. But this does work in 3 ways. Energetically, when I've had people ring me and they go, have you done my property? and I'll sort of say, yes, I've actually just finished it. And they'll go, okay, I could just feel, some people are so sensitive they can feel it shifting. Well, sometimes they ring me and I say, I'm sitting down to do it now. And they go, I would have thought you did it last night. Everything changed last night. And it's like, yeah, because you've already booked this. You've energetically committed to shifting this energy. So you've started to let go of some of this connection. So that's step number one. Step two is when I map it all out and the energy is seen, so to speak. And, I do my energetic work and clear that. And then the third part is you putting crystals in the ground when you receive them. So it's, I really love that energy interplay.
Yeah.
And also, if you live, so for example, let's see what maps I've got here. No, okay. This is only 5 acres, but let's pretend this is like 100,000 acres, right? And I've put all my little squiggles and drawings. I know that one's harder to see because it's covered in trees. But if I've said, look, you have to put a crystal here, and you're like, okay, on 20,000 acres, how am I going to find that? Or, it's down a deep ravine, I just can't get there, or it'll wash away. You put the crystal on the map. Because energy is not local.
Of course.
So even you putting the crystal on the map, and all of my property developers only work on maps. Because they buy all this land, they want it healed so that the development goes well, the workers don't get injured, the building process doesn't get delayed, etc. They can't put crystals in the ground. It's about to be dug up. And then they put all of their houses and things like that. And then they get me to relook at it because now they want that all sold quickly. And so never do crystals actually end up going in the ground, but they're on the map.
Wow.
So all of these lines are balanced and healed. So, and there's so much, I won't talk about all the studies now, but there's so much evidence out there now of proving that energy is not local. One of the examples I like to use is, do you remember the old voodoo dolls?
Yeah.
People would just create this little doll. There was nothing magic. And the intention was this doll represents Joe. And, I'm going to stick this pin in it. And sure enough, Joe reacts. Why? Because you believed strongly that that was going to happen. And that was your intention. And bang, energy is not local. So we can use
quantum entanglement, isn't it? We're all interconnected with everything. Yeah.
That's right.
And, each chakra connects it to a different dimension. I mean, we're just such complex beings, and the earth is such a complex being.
That's right.
Fabulous. I could listen to hours.
So on a 3D level, people go, really? You put a crystal on a map and it's like, yeah, really, actually.
Well, I can 100% see why that would work.
Yes.
Absolutely. Shall we let Marie ask her question? She's been so patient. Marie, Can you unmute yourself, darling?
So I did write my question, but I lost contact, so I'm not sure if you answered it. But I got a map today which Hayley marked the only positive line on the map because it's for an NHS that I'm getting installed. And I was just wondering, if you install the NHS on the positive line, does that sort of raise the vibration of the more negative lines on the property? It's a farm, about 450 acres.
No, not at all. No, quite the opposite. So, how I kind of connected with Brad and his NHS systems, which for those of you who don't know, he builds this, what's the word? It's like a harmonizer, like an orgone harmonizer. So it actually shifts the stagnation in the environment, in the atmosphere, etc., and it allows more of the natural rain to come and less of the, let's call it geoengineered stuff to kind of hang around. So you're likely to get less of the drought, less of the flooding with one of these harmonizers. Now, long story, but I ended up connecting with Brad, and we were basically put together to say, you guys should help each other out. I said, what do you do? And I said, this is what I do. And we're like, okay, let's do some testing. Let's see what happens if we actually put one of your harmonizers on positive ley lines versus just randomly somewhere on the property, and see if we get a different energetic shift. And so we trialed lots of different properties and said, okay, this property has it here, but it's not on a positive ley line. Let's find one. Okay, let's move it and now see what energetic change occurs. And so with kinesiology, we were able to measure lots of different properties and go, it makes a big difference. It actually works even better on the positive, even though it's a great product already, it's even better on the positive ley line. By working with that positive ley line, you are automatically raising the vibration of your property to some degree. So it's quite the opposite of your original question. It will not highlight the negative at all. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So
Thank
good
you.
on you for putting one of those in there. They're amazing.
Oh, yeah, we need it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, if we can get them spread out all around the place. Even on our bus, I've got one of the small ones. And so they do about 3 kilometers around. And I can't tell you how many times we have had storms roll through here. People on, like 2 kilometers that way, 3 kilometers that way, have just had their roofs destroyed. And, massive big hailstones and things. And then I hear in the other direction the same thing. And I'm like, we got a lot of rain, but, we're okay. And it's just happening again and again and again. And it's like, I know it's that little generator making a difference. Maybe my little energy bubble too, but, I think the generator really does help. So,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, so thanks, Marie. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anyone would like to ask a question? You can raise your hand.
And if you don't know how to raise your hand, there's a reaction option at the bottom of the screen that if you press on that, it will let you have a choice of which kind of reaction you want to put up. Sometimes you can put love hearts up. It's very sweet. But if you want to put your hand up, there's a bar that says raise hand. But we do still have some other questions. So are there maps of the local ley lines? And we get this question a lot with Ley Love Down. So I don't know, but I would love to know.
Yeah, I was curious, once I found out who you were, Rachel, and what you were doing, and, you're talking about mapping all of the lines and things like that. And I kind of got thinking about it. I thought it's funny because it's really, for me, in the way that I work, it's really kind of never been part of what I do. It's kind of almost never occurred to me. Only because when I'm working with someone on their property, it's about them and their connection with the earth at that point in time. And like I said, if they move and someone else moves there, different ley lines are going to show up. So to me, I've had a lot of people contact me and they go, I just want to know if I live near a ley line. And it's like, well, you do, because they're everywhere. It's so holographic that I've even gone to caravan and annex sites and you can still map it all out there.
Wow.
So so everyone has ley lines on their property, 100%. Are they impacting you? Some of them will be, some of them won't be. It's about the interplay of your energy and theirs. So, I've been sort of thinking about, your mapping, and of course the big ones, and all the people who have been doing this kind of work, they've found a lot of those big lines, and I guess that's where the real magic is in that.
Yeah.
But people like me are kind of working at the other end. We're starting at the smaller scale and feeding into that.
Yeah.
So, hats off to the people who are working with the big stuff. But, I just kind of go, okay, well, my place is to start at the small end and feed into that. So, that's kind of where I'll keep
incredibly
playing.
powerful work, because as you said, it can have such an impact on the health of the people, the trees, the animals in that area, the birds, everything, the insects, everything is a positive effect when you've got a balance there.
That's right. Yeah.
When you've put crystals in, so this is probably answered by the way that you just responded to that question. When you put the crystals in and you leave that property, do you take the crystals with you?
I wouldn't, because first of all, it's a gift to the earth.
Yes.
Secondly, some of the energies on that property will still be relevant to the next person coming in. So they're attracted to that property because it's at the frequency it's at. So you have an unhealed property, it will attract a certain type of person. You would heal a property, you'll attract a different type of person, because everyone's looking to have their frequency matched. Yeah. And so if you sold your property, this person's coming in and you removed all the crystals, that's not going to go well. And so, you just wouldn't do that to someone. And also try and dig up a tiny crystal. You'll probably never find it again. So, no. Having said that, though, because people do sometimes work on maps, people say to me, what do I do with this? And I say, look, if the people coming in to buy your property are open to keeping that map with the crystals on it, then, by all means, give it to them. But only some of that's going to be relevant to that person. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's a real interesting interplay, that. So, yeah. I remember when, before I was doing this work, I had Maggie do a property for us, and we were just renting, and then we were literally given notice, the people were coming to live there again or something, and we had to move. And we'd only just got the crystals in our hands, and we're like, great, we haven't even got them in the ground, and we've got to leave this place. And my husband sort of said to me, he goes, what do we do? Do we still bury them? And I said, well, from my understanding of this, yes, we do. Because first of all, we committed to doing this, and this is not just about us, it's about the earth. And secondly, why wouldn't we leave these crystals here for the next people? You know what I mean? Okay, they're booting us out of the property, but that doesn't make them bad people. Let the healing just continue. Put them in place. Okay, you've lost however many dollars worth of crystals, but is it really a loss? It's a gift to the earth.
Oh, yeah, exactly. You can't put a price on that.
Yeah, and for us to then do that and take that stress off us and raise our energy, even for that short period of time, means where we're going to go next is going to be more likely at that vibrational space. So by not doing it, we would have been cutting ourselves short as well.
It's just a beautiful act of altruism, isn't it? Because it doesn't necessarily benefit you to do that, but it benefits the earth. And those things always have knock-on effects. We don't do them for that reason, but they always do have those beautiful positive knock-on effects.
Yeah, it's always circular, isn't it? It's the law of reciprocity. It's, if our intention was like, no, I'm not giving that to the earth, then goodness, what's coming back at us? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it just doesn't make sense. So
Now, Rebecca, you've had your hand up, darling. Would you like to unmute?
Hi, yeah, thank you. I'm really loving this, by the way. It's really up my street. I did some therapist training quite a while ago, 20 years ago, and I have been working, my teacher, Carol Lamb, she worked with crystals. So I've been working with the crystals anyway, and wherever I travel, I always have them in my handbag, and I put them down in places. And I also play my little lyre in places as well. So I really love this. But I just wanted to know, Hayley, I notice you say that people contact you and then you'll pass crystals to them. Do you work with people in the UK, or would it be, I'm in England, or would it be that you might work with me and then you'd recommend me to buy the crystals? I'm just wondering how you...
Sure. For people overseas, yes, we worked that out between us at the time. So I do actually do a lot of work overseas. It's not just Australia. So last week I did a place in Florida, and I did 2 properties in France, and the week before I did a place in Spain. So yeah, I work all over the world. So if I was to map your property, then I simply ask you, do you have access to get crystals that, because I always give you the map, give you the instructions, what I found, what needs to go there, and, where they all have to be. And so for people in Australia, I then just package it all up and post it to them. So it's, they've got it all. But the lady in Florida just last week, I said to her, it's up to you. I can actually do this at a little bit of a cheaper rate, and you go and get your own crystals, or I can just post them to you. You decide. And she said, oh, no, I've got a crystal store down the street. I love going there. I'll go and get them. And so that's what we sort of decided. But yeah, I've posted crystals all over the world before. So yeah, we just kind of worked that out at the time.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's a great question. Any questions in the chat, Billy? Anything good?
That's what I'm just looking now, just to see if we missed any.
Oh, there was a great question from Kathleen. Are suddenly aggressive ants, like you can cohabit with ants, but suddenly they just go crazy? Is that a sign of geopathic stress?
Yeah, it can be. Sometimes it's a sign of rain coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. So animals like ants, termites, wasps, not spiders, but not quite as much. All of the burrowing things. So in Australia, well, I don't know, snakes, rats, these kind of things. But even overseas, things like moles, etc. All of the burrowing animals love the geopathic stress and the negative zones. They really, they're drawn to them. So sometimes you can look at a property and you can go, okay, here's a massive area of mowed lawn, and this section here is covered in ant mounds. And it's almost like there's a line and then there's none here. Why does that occur? It can be a number of different things. It can be underground water, or it can be negative ley lines, or it can be old earthquake lines as well. So yeah, by healing this, the ants aren't going to disappear tomorrow, but bit by bit, they will tend to migrate to where they're more comfortable, which is the lower vibrational energies. I guess there's a space for everyone on this earth, right? So, they're just like cats, they're just drawn to those areas. So I'm not going to promise people that if I, do a healing, your ant problems will be solved, because there's more than one thing going on. But, they can. People often say to me, yeah, we've had less of these kind of insect problems since the land's been healed. So
Such a good question, a brilliant answer.
yeah.
Could you unmute yourself? Lovely.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Thanks, Hayley, for all the information, and it's great to see you doing this type of work. My question was around sort of pre-purchasing land. I live in the southwest of Western Australia, and I thought a nice coupling or collaboration, and I'm wondering whether you offer this as your part of your services, is working with an Indigenous elder, that may have, that should have connection to that particular land. There may be certain energetics that cannot be shifted, that are interacting with the lays, possibly, that, may only be shifted through some, something that they can do as well. I know there are areas in the southwest, Margaret River, Quarrumup area. So there are places that are quite significant that, people just would not, purchase land in, or, there's certain things you just can't undo, essentially.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, this is an interesting one, because the question often comes up, what about, old Aboriginal lands or old, and first of all, I'm going to say, well, that's kind of everywhere. In every country, they were, was all home to the Indigenous originally, or First Nations, whatever, word people like to use. So, for example, on land like that, would I go and heal it? Well, no, because I'm not invited to, first of all. So, I'm very big on minding my own business and not interfering with things that are not my business. So if someone contacted me and said, look, I live in this particular place and I know there's a lot of Indigenous or, First Nations people's energy there, can I help? Or do we need to get someone that's, an ancestor, related? Because I work all over the world, I very much have the belief that if you can help and your intention's in the right place, then you can. I don't think you need to be in Australia, Aboriginal, or in America, North American Indian, etc. We can all help in our own way. And I think we've all got, as long as your intention's right, then I think we should. I've never been to a property where I've been told, no, you can't do this, or you don't have the ability to do this because it has to be someone who's Indigenous working here. I've definitely been on a lot of properties where the person who owns it has Indigenous heritage, and they say to me, oh, we know that this is, a men's business area, and I work with what they want. If that's a men's business area and you know that, what would you like me to do? Leave it alone? Because if that's what you want, then we'll just leave it alone. But sometimes when someone who is, let's just say a white person buys that property and they go, no, it's really disruptive, I want it cleared. What I do in that sense is I kind of go into that area, and it's like going into a negotiation almost. So I call those energies, and it's not my place to just move them. It's, just get them out of this. That's not the way to work at all. It's the same with like earthbound spirits in people's houses. You have to work with their energies and get them to actually shift their energies and want to do that and understand why that's even happening in the first place. So I've definitely worked on a lot of Indigenous lands, and for me, how it starts is as I'm walking through, I start to get glimpses of people. And I'll kind of go, oh, and I'll realize, oh, they're here with me. And so right from that point, I'm wanting to know, do they want to do this work? Do they want me to do this work? Are we working together? And often it's a bit of a collaboration. So not necessarily with the people who are here and now. I'm not affiliated or linked particularly with any, mob or anything like that. But I have spoken to a lot of them over the time, and they want to know what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. And always, once we've had a discussion, I've always ended up being told, okay, thank you for what you do. They're happy with it. Because, when we're talking about energies of past peoples, we have to work respectfully. It's not ever about getting rid of them. It's about helping and supporting, or knowing when it's time to mind your business and leave things be. So,
I agree.
yeah. But I would never just go and work on land without permission, because that's not my place to do that. Yeah. So, in Aboriginal communities and things like that, I've never been asked to work there. I guess they do their own work there,
Yeah. So I guess it's kind of like further on, if you're going to purchase the land, it's about being a better custodian, and how to work with the land better in the right way. And I guess it's coming into a symbiosis with things. And I guess, that's kind of where we need to go, right? Because we're not owners of the land. We are essentially custodians as the time we are on this earth with the land.
Yeah.
So,
I worked on a property where there was this a beautiful old Indigenous man, and he was just on the property, and literally they built this house, and he was still sitting in his space energetically. And they called me there because their daughter would not go in the bathroom by herself. She said, I'm not going in there with that man. She could see him, but the adults couldn't. And so I went and I stood in the bathroom, and I realized that he was there. And so I started a bit of a conversation with him. And I guess it's kind of more like a telepathic sort of thing. And basically, when I talked to him about, why he was there, he explained about how, this is his land and his people, and he's still looking after the land. And, he was showing me that he loved the land so much, it was like his family. And I started to talk to him about, these people, they live here, they've built this house here. This little girl's a little bit frightened. And, these people love this land. It's actually been in their family for a long time, and they really take care of it and honor it and a lot of this sort of thing. And in the end, after this conversation, he decided it was okay for him to move his energy on. And to me, that was a beautiful decision, because sometimes I feel like when they're trapped on the land like that, doing their job, so to speak, it's sometimes preventing them from moving fully into the next, realm or whatever it might be, to wherever they're supposed to go next. It's kind of almost like they're still earthbound too, a bit like ghosts in a haunted house. And it doesn't necessarily need to be that way, but it's not my place to make that decision. Those people have to make that decision for themselves, and he did, and he chose to move his energy on. Literally the next day, the mum rang me and she said, I don't know what you did, but my daughter's just walking in and out of the bathroom. She's not even turning on the light anymore,
Wow.
And so I said to her, ask her if the man's still there. And apparently he wasn't. So, yeah, but it wasn't me who cleared him. It was just me who had a conversation with him, and he moved his energy because he could see that they were going to look after the land.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks, Ley. Great question.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you, Ley.
So we're at the hour and a half mark, so we probably should wrap up, give Hayley back her evening. This has been amazing. Again, where have you been? But you've been doing this work, and I'm the one that's been living as a mushroom.
I don't think so.
So we know how to find you. We know you're at Land Healings on Facebook and HayleyWallace.com. I think I might be also needing to do your course, because it sounds amazing. Do you do these online? Do you need to actually go out to your property?
No, level 1 earth healing is actually done in person, because you need to walk with me, feel the energies. I get your energy connected with certain crystals that are commonly used for earth healing. Even if you know crystals really, really well, how we use them for earth healing is probably slightly different. So I'm no expert in crystals. I just know what the ones that I use are for from a perspective of earth healing. So level 1, people walk with me for 2 days, and level 2, so that teaches you how to tune into these energies, find them, heal your own property, and help out your family and friends.
Wow.
But level 2, if you want to go on to become a earth healing practitioner, is actually still done with Maggie Landman, my earth healing teacher. So she taught me to teach level 1 exactly the way she taught it. Because she knows that I'll honor it and do it exactly that way. And so, you know, and I'm happy to do that because it works. So then when people say, I want to take this further, I want to go out and heal land and, you know, maybe create a little business and all this kind of thing, reach more people, I connect them with Maggie, and she actually does level 2 over Zoom. So it's done in 2 sections over 2 sort of usually 2-hour blocks. And that's, you know, teaching you more about how to open or close portals, create portals for good, you know, how to actually be a practitioner of earth healing, how to have a stronger connection through your crown chakra. So you're definitely just working with that pure source energy, you know, all of that more psychic side of it. So, you know, level 1's more sort of the earth side of it and the healing, and level 2's more the psychic side and better levels of protecting your own energy as well if you're going to be going onto lots of properties. So yeah, so it's you know, it works quite well like that.
Thank you. So you must obviously, you offer level 1 at certain locations, certain times of the year.
Yeah, I move around a bit. So not this weekend, next weekend. I'm at the Sunshine Coast at the moment. So we're doing a 2-day workshop up here on the 3rd and 4th of May. I'll be in Adelaide, in Adelaide Hills, doing a workshop. Yeah. It's all on my Facebook website under events. I'm also going to be in Mudgee in New South Wales on the 17th and 18th of May. I am looking potentially at doing something in Canberra, Newcastle, and also South Sydney, because I've got a bit of interest in those areas. But you can imagine finding the right venue so that I can show you and demonstrate all of these energies in one space is where it gets interesting. Because so many people say, oh, you can use my property, but when I map out their property, I'm like, no, we can't, because you don't have any stagnant water. And so so we have to find the right kind of place to be able to show you the strong energies so you can really connect with them. So
fantastic. Thank you so much, Hayley, for coming
that's okay.
us. This has been a fantastic chat.
My pleasure.
I've learned so much.
Great. Yeah.
Over to you, Billy. Anything you need to say, darling?
No, but wow. Learned so much from this, and I'm really looking forward to my next property that I'm going to you know, go around and see what I sense. And I do have some crystals that people have gifted to me, so I'll just start there. And so thank you very much. And
that's okay.
We're privileged to have you on and to share all this. And if there's
actually,
anything else
Billy,
you'd like to say.
You mentioned about crystals, and you know, they've been gifted to you and things, which got me thinking about energy attached to crystals. People always ask me, you know, how do I clean my crystals? How often do I need to? So the ones that are in the ground are obviously connected with the mother, so they're clearing themselves the whole time, so you don't need to do anything with those. If you've got crystals in your home, then I usually suggest to put them outside. You know, some people do it every single month. Some people do it 6 months. I usually say about every 6 months, take the crystals outside, put them on the grass and leave them there for 24 hours. Now, always people go, do I need to do it on a full moon? Do I need to, you know, and it's just like the answer is 24 hours connected with Mother Earth. That's it. I never put my crystals out under a full moon. And the reason, when you know, it's quite simple. When I say to people, if you talk to a nurse and you say, which shift this month do you not want to do? It's the full moon shift, right? You ask a police officer, which shift do you really not want to do at full moon? You know, all of our stories of the old werewolves coming out on a full moon, the vampire, you know, all of this, everything is attached to that. You know what I mean?
Lunacy.
It's okay if they're outside at night, but I don't use the full moon. I don't even worry about new moon. People go, if it's not full moon, I just put them outside for 24 hours. That's it. You know, that's all. So they need to just connect with their mother energy again, recharge themselves. And when you put them back in your place, put them there with an intention. Crystals work better with intention. Your thought energy connected with their energy. So if you put a beautiful big rose quartz in the middle of your lounge room and you say, this is to just raise the vibration for peace, harmony, and love in my home for everyone, great, job done. You've connected and you've given, it's like you've given it a job to do. You know what I mean? It's like a loyal dog, you know, they just want to be there with you to serve and help and, you know, support. And crystals kind of, it's almost the same. So, you know, they're here for a purpose. Let's utilize them for that purpose as well. So, yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So I always clear my crystals and everything before I post them to people. So,
Beautiful. Thank you.
That's all
So
right.
yeah, thank you very much for coming on, and Rachel, as always. Yeah, love having chats with you.
Yeah,
And thank you
likewise.
for everyone, all you beautiful people that have come on and asked great questions, because we're doing this for all of you. You know, these conversations, it's not just the three-way, it's all of us, you know, asking and passing on knowledge with each other. So that's why it's called knowledge transfer. So
And
yeah.
thank you to you too as well, Billy and Rachel, because, you know, just getting people to get connected with this kind of work and impact the earth, you know, with what each person can do themselves too. It's not, you know, it's not about just every person needs an earth healing. You can start at home with some of the things that I've already recommended, and you know, just start to
Absolutely.
walk and feel the energy yourself, you know. So every little person's little bit makes a difference.
I can feel the massive relief of our beautiful volunteers at Ley Love Down, knowing that they can now say, go and watch Hayley's video, because it's got everything that you need to know. So
Great.
a lot of pressure off.
Yep.
It's a lot of emailing. So thank you so much.
Beautiful. My pleasure. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, we look forward to maybe in the future, like working together, and so yeah.
Possibilities are endless.
Yes. So yeah, thank you for everyone coming on. And yeah, if you jump on to our next one, and yeah, it's there every month. Come to our group meditations, our weekly 12-12 focuses. So we've always got lots of things happening. So yeah.
Yeah. I've got some unplanned for next month. I've just got to nag her again. All right, guys.
Awesome.
Have a beautiful night, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.